Now, before I start this next video, I just want to provide some clarification on what the actual video is in regards. So some time ago, about a year and a half ago, I actually made a video about distillation of salt water. So the idea of distillation of salt water is to take seawater and make it drinkable, because of course seawater itself you cannot drink. If you attempt to drink it, you will perish. So the idea was, by using most simplistic method possible, to put it out into the sun, see if I can get some evaporation happening, to produce some drinking water from ocean water. And I was actually successful in doing it. So that's what this next video is about. I had to provide some clarification because I've gone back and had a listen to my ramblings and there was no clarification at all, unfortunately. So here it is. Hi all, hope all is well. On today's video, I've gone ahead and I've completely redesigned my existing solar distillation unit. When I say completely redesigned it, I mean I've made a few significant tweaks to it. And whether they're going to work or not, I'm not entirely sure yet. So basically, what I've done is I'm going to continue to use the same jar technique as I have in my previous video, which you can see in the top corner. There's a link there. I recommend going back and watching it just to see how I did it in the first place. Basically, I'll explain an overview of it. The first design incorporated a single jar of salt water. So the idea is I can desalinate salt water to produce drinking water. Now, this was achieved by placing a jar of salt water into this larger jar here, and then over a period of several weeks, the water evaporated from the center jar and recondensated during the night onto the bottom of this larger jar. After a period of time, I was able to extract a small portion of water from it. The whole idea wasn't to produce large amounts of drinking water, it was just to prove that the feasibility of it was possible, and it was definitely proven that it was possible. There were plenty of comments in the comment section suggesting on how we could improve it, and I am at some stage going to actually go through the comments and I'll select a few of the better ones to make some tweaks to the system, the existing system, to see if we can improve the results. However, at this stage, I wanted to reinvent the process again. I was fortunate enough, while I was actually looking about, to come across this jar. So this is a pickle jar. So basically the idea is you put the pickles in the top or in the bottom, and the juices come out. So it's strained completely. With this one here, however, basically what we're going to do is we're going to install the pickle jar into the larger jar, as you can see with this one right here. And then I'm actually taking the lid of this larger jar and flipping it upside down, because as you can see it is convexed, meaning it's protruding, and by reversing it upside down, the idea is I could take the seal off this and install the seal into the top of the jar, and then by placing this jar into the inside of this one, the pickle jar, and then putting the lid on the top and putting some weight down on the top of this, as I have done there with that rock, we should be able to seal the unit up. And as you can see, there is condensation already forming on the inside of that jar. So the process is already working. It's trapping the moisture that's condensating from the bottom, it's trapping it in the jar. And the idea is the concave nature of the lid itself during the night, the moisture should recondensate and then run down off the top of this lid here, dripping into the center jar, the center pickle jar there. It should get trapped below the stainless steel strainer and collect in this bottom jar here. And that way, during the next day, that water should be not as prone to evaporation as the outside jar, which means over the nights there should be an accumulation of clean drinking water in the bottom of that jar there. At least that's the plan anyway. So I guess at this stage here, as you can see, I have it set up here. I have the weight on it from the rock here. It's actually sealing the unit up completely. So it's just a matter of time now just to let it play itself out. And then we can come back tomorrow morning and have a look to see if there's any moisture inside it. Should be quite interesting. Now, after giving it a little bit more thought, I've decided that it's probably best to leave this to charge for an entire day. So leaving it to charge basically means give it a whole day in the sun. After giving it a whole day in the sun, I'll give it another whole night to recondensate. That way we get a more accurate portrayal of the results, because at this stage I was a little bit late to getting it put together, and it's only given it probably an hour, maybe 2 hours to charge in the sunlight itself. So by giving it a full day tomorrow, I do believe we'll get a better portrayal of accurate results. So here's to waiting for another day, I guess. It should also be mentioned that unlike the previous design, the salt water is not put into the inner jar. The salt water is now put directly into the larger jar itself. And the idea is, during the day it evaporates, during the night it condensates, it drips off that lid, and then you should get the clean drinking water in the inner jar. So it's completely reversed of what the previous design was. And like I said earlier, whether it works or not is anyone's guess at this stage. I guess tomorrow morning we'll find out. So as you can see, it's early morning, and I've actually left this now for about 3 days. So it's had 3 complete days to cycle. So 3 days of warmth and 3 nights of cool weather to recondense the fluid. So I thought it'd be a good time to actually come out, open it up to see if it's actually worked. I have my doubts. I don't think it's sealed up quite enough, and the rock on the top probably doesn't help. Probably absorbs quite a bit of heat during the day, and keeps it quite warm at night as well for an extended period of time. So I guess the only thing we can do is take it off and have a look. See that there's definitely fluid on there, so it is in a sense doing what it needs to be doing. Now just to have a look at whether we've actually collected any water in here at all. It's extremely hard to see there. Unfortunately, I cannot see any moisture in that whatsoever, which indicates that it was either escaping or the concave nature of the lid was not enough to actually direct it into the pickle jar.